Hey guys, my name is Ryan and welcome to Overwatch Central. Today we are going to talk about the dark horse when it comes to the Overwatch World Cup. A set of players which in my eyes are definitely Overwatch League material. We'll be going over the China World Cup team. I want to discuss why I think they do have an outside chance of getting at least to the finals of the World Cup. I don't want to say, oh, China is better than Team USA or Canada or this team, that team, but I do feel that they are the sleeper pick of the World Cup. Obviously Team UK are going to win it, but that's another story. This video is also brought to you by OMEN by HP, the official PC provider of the Overwatch League, but also the Overwatch World Cup, and a main sponsor on the Team UK shirt as they're playing in Paris this weekend. Take a look at that. I also think it's a really good time to be talking about China, considering that 3 new Overwatch League teams are going to be based in that country. Guangzhou, Hangzhou, and Chengdu will all be added into the league, and with Shanghai Dragons essentially having a complete clear out, we'll have effectively 4 new Chinese teams. Whilst I have no doubt that some of these teams will just go full Korean with their lineup, I do think that we'll see these Chinese players in the Overwatch League for Season 2, and also go over why we didn't see them in Season 1. The first question is obviously going to be, well Ryan, if these Chinese teams were so good, why didn't Shanghai Dragons pick them up for Season 1? And wasn't that Shanghai Dragons team from Season 1 the absolute best that China had to offer in its region? And the answer there is obviously no. The first reason as to why you didn't see some of these players, at least in Season 1, is that they were just too young. Shy, for example, will be 18 in October, Leave just turned 18 in August, and Yveltal turned 18 this month. Guxue, Late Young, and Sky are all just 19 years of age. It's a really young squad, and Sky himself actually did play for the Shanghai Dragons at some point. He was one of the players brought in mid-season alongside Ado and Gaguri, but as we all know, it just wasn't enough. I think the damage was already done there. The squad of players that was originally brought in by Shanghai Dragons was not really a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Yu4 was the previous main coach for Shanghai, and he was noted by the Chinese community as not a good coach. And not only that, he had things such as being banned for account boosting. He was a problematic person to have in a team, especially spearheading it. He promised players slots according to Chinese sources. He refused to sign any of the miraculous youngsters, who were the best team in China by a long shot at that period before Overwatch League started, and they were definitely top 5 teams in the world pre-Owl. He did a botched job from then on out. My point is that just because Shanghai Dragons performed so poorly in the Overwatch League doesn't mean that the whole China region is trash. This wasn't the best of a bad bunch, and I'm glad that I can back that up now with a statement with how China played in these qualifiers. They qualified for Blizzcon undefeated. They came out of the, to quote, group of death with some really close games against some really good teams, but they didn't end up losing a game, and that in itself shows how they compare to Overwatch League talent. I think they would struggle against Korea and the USA, but everybody else honestly feels fair game if they met in the finals. Give these guys a little bit more coaching and experience, and honestly, they could be a really scary team. Now I feel like I've given a good background as to why you should care a little bit more about Team China and why you shouldn't compare them to Shanghai Dragons. But now I want to highlight a particular player who might honestly be one of the best in the world in his role. Guxue is a main tank player for LGD Gaming, and honestly one of my favourite players to watch. For those that don't know, I cast the Overwatch Contenders series in China, or one of the casters there with Broadcast GG. And from then I've been able to see these guys play, and honestly I absolutely love watching LGD Gaming play, but Guxue is remarkable. Just typing in his name into competitive Overwatch shows a lot of threads talking about just how good he is. But considering the region that he plays in, China does have some interesting stuff to do with meta. For example, they absolutely love their Genji. Guxue plays like a Western tank. Whilst LGD didn't actually win the Chinese Contenders, they narrowly lost out to Lucky Future Zenith, who as a full team is looking to be picked up for one of the new Overwatch League teams as a whole. Not many teams have been able to do that, and a full Korean roster is scary whichever way you look at it. But one thing that I really want to highlight was Guxue's amazing ability that every time that he ults as a Winston, people die. Here are some of the amazing replays I did want to highlight. We'll start with this play from Australia, Guxue using a Primal Rage to actually make sure that Custer can't get out of that room, but just the ability to land on the targets that he wants. I struggle with this completely with Winston, but just knowing where he's going to land, how much damage he can do. The old bug where you would have full fall-off damage from Winston is present in this patch, which obviously makes Guxue look a lot stronger and gives him the ability to kill people more, but every Winston that was playing in these games had that ability, and none was doing it more than Guxue. Next up is an amazing game sense play, Primal Rage bringing it out and just knocking Denmark into traffic. And you know that every time that Guxue is going to use the Primal Rage, you will see his kill feed in the top right with that icon, because he is that good and just has this amazing way to use the ultimate aggressively. A lot of the time you see pro players using Primal Rage, either to maybe get environmental kills, but mostly to stall out points, to use it if you're going low and you want to make sure that you can stall out an objective, keep the point ticking along, keeps you in the fight a little bit longer. But how aggressively Guxue is using it, it's like he's using a Dragon Blade some of the time. So it's a whole new way that this ultimate is being used by a player, but it's working. But my favorite play is actually this. It just shows the carry potential of Guxue. Again, killing Thailand's main tank, but as you see, he's just coming in and being able to separate Mickey away, getting him demeched, killing him from there. And it just shows the strength of this character. And it was a position where Thailand could have maybe got the point there, but Guxue single-handedly kept that point for his team. This was ever present in the Thailand qualifiers, but also it was in the first game that I ever saw Guxue play when he played against Lucky Future in Chinese contenders. He would constantly get these kills with Primal Rage. Also, looking at some of the stats from Winston's lab, you can see how Guxue compares to everybody else. The amount of kills that he's got and the amount of deaths that he's had really does show up a lot of the DPS players on China and Thailand. He is amazing at getting worth from some of his ultimates, as you've seen, but also he just has that cerebral play to be able to know where he should be, how to create space, and also to get kills. However, the news that we may see, say for example Team China as a whole taken into an Overwatch League spot, might not be happening. There's been rumours that Guxue has been picked up for a Korean mixed team, so the dream to see this full squad in Overwatch League may not happen. Then again, it'd be nice to see all of these players mixed with a Korean roster, especially something like Lucky Future Zenith, to see how they compete. I would be really interested to see that. But players like Leave and Shy for Team China would be amazing for the Overwatch League. There'd be optimal pickups. And a general message that I just wanted to get out with this video is stop sleeping on China. Stop having this precognition that China equals bad. Whilst I do imagine that one of the 4 Chinese teams may be propping up the bottom of the league, I feel that we can also see some serious contenders there, and the China region is absolutely buzzing with talent. This is something that Overwatch analyst and caster Sideshow agrees with. He said in an Action Esports interview that with 4 Chinese teams in the next season, there is a big opportunity for China's development as a region. I think there would be a huge shame if Shanghai's failure in the first season led to all of these expansion teams, or even the league as a whole, to not consider China as a capable region. We've seen at this World Cup that they are very talented players, and with some development they would be able to create an Overwatch League competent team. It's just a series of unfortunate events that have led to China being judged as a poor region. I think that the World Cup China team is better than the Shanghai Dragons by far. I think they would have done decently at the Overwatch League. China has mad potential, and I think that's a good sum up of this. China as a region, as a World Cup team, are very, very good, and I hate that people are sleeping on them because they just assume that they're Shanghai Dragons. This is a region that's very dear to my heart. I've been able to cast some of these games myself, and I also went into that with a precognition that they are the worst region in the game, and that's just not true. Some of these players are Overwatch League potential, and I think if you learn about them, learn about their background, when they eventually make their way over to the Overwatch League, you can be smart and say, oh yeah, I knew about this player before. But certainly remember the name Guxue. He's an amazing tank. I think he's going to go far. But thanks for watching. Again, big shout out to OMEN by HB for helping this video happen. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and let us know if you want to see more Overwatch League content like this. But again, take care. We'll see you then.